I'm going to show you live migration of one LDOM guest from one physical host to another within a server pool. So a server pool is a collection of similar hosts connected to the same networks and the same disks. And in my case, I have two T5140s and a pair of LDOM guests, one running on each host, that I created all using Op Center. I'm going to show you the migration of LDOM 238 from this physical host to the other physical host. So to do that, all I have to do is click on the LDOM guest. And on the right-hand side, I can click Migrate. And then this is presenting me with a list of other hosts within the server pool where I might want to migrate the guest to. Well, I only have one other host, so I'll just pick the one that's in the list there. And I'm going to kick off that job. Now, while that's running, this is a window that's on the guest itself. And I'm just going to kick off a script here that's measuring how long a sleep of 1 second takes. And I just want you to see that it actually takes slightly longer than a second from start to finish. And there's some variability to it, and it'll tick up and tick down. But what we don't want to see is during migration that this gets wildly out of control. That would represent a lengthy passage of time from the guest perspective. As long as it's within a few milliseconds, even as much as 8 or 9 milliseconds, that's all pretty normal, and it still qualifies as no slippage in passage of time as far as the guest is concerned. And so while that's running, then I want to also call attention to two other windows that I have on the right-hand side. This is a shell into the control domain for each of those physical hosts. And I'm just showing where the guests reside. And you'll be, momentarily, you'll begin to see LDOM 238 will appear in the lower window on the target host, but it will be only bound, and it'll be in the process of synchronizing its memory and moving the disk and what have you over. Only after it's completely synchronized on the target host, then you'll see the LDOM 238 disappear from the source host. So what's really happening right now? Well, there's a job running, and in the job, I'll talk about some of the stuff that's going on while you can watch the numbers going by at the bottom. So most of the time so far was actually spent right up front here setting the power policy for the two hosts. So for migration to work very well, they need to be in performance mode, and that's what we do up front. Okay, on the right-hand side, you'll notice that by now we have LDOM 238 appearing both places. It's only active on the source host, and it's bound on the target host. And over time, really right now what's happening is the memory in particular is being synchronized between the two systems. Okay, and we'll just watch the job progress there. And you can see there's already a slight slippage in time just simply because there's increased load on the system. So processes are on and off the scheduler based on demand. So actually the migration itself is done. And the worst that we saw was, it looks like 6 milliseconds of slippage of time. That was the worst that we saw. And so, based on a baseline of around 1 millisecond, that's really still within 5 milliseconds. Meanwhile, so what's going on with the job? So we've already cleaned up behind ourselves on the host where the LDOM guest started. We show it active on the target, and the job continues on basically with some housekeeping to make sure Op Center is dotting its I's and crossing its T's in terms of keeping track of where things are in the environment. And then the last part of the job will be to set the power policy back to the way that we found it.